slow response, laggy navigation, or having to constantly plug and unplug your phone. These are things most of us face with basic CarPlay adapters. We've felt the same frustration, honestly, and wanted something that actually works smoothly. That's why we've been testing the Ottocast Mini 2-in-1 and the Carluex Pro Plus 2 for a while now. One promises simple, reliable wireless CarPlay and Android Auto, while the other goes further with streaming apps, multitasking, and extra features along with those two. After using both in real-world driving, we think it's the right time to share our experience, show what each does best, and help you decide which one might fit your car and needs. Inside the box of Ottocast Mini, we got the adapter itself plus two USB adapters. One is there to help if your head unit sits at a weird angle, and the other is a USB-A to C adapter. There's also a basic user manual, which is easy to understand. Now, with the Carluex Pro Plus 2.0, we found that the things feel a lot more loaded. It's the main device and cables. We actually got the same thing as the USB-A to C adapter, like the Ottocast. But on top of that, we also bought some extras like an HDMI to mini HDMI cable, extra braided cables, a 32GB micro SD card with a reader, a magnetic holder, and even a Bluetooth Air mouse remote, which honestly makes it feel way more versatile. Now, the first thing we noticed is how light and compact this Ottocast Mini is. Well, it doesn't feel cheap at all, even though it's tiny, literally about the size of our thumb. The body is thin, with a rounded front, and that matte black finish looks clean. We do like the sleek look, but because the surface is smooth, it can feel a bit slippery. Honestly, a little grip would have been nice, though it's not a deal breaker. Here, with the Carluex, it feels more like a full-on system. The box is tightly packed, and the design is simple but solid. Size-wise, it's roughly the same as most AI boxes. Two sides have a rounded U-style shape, while the other two sides are straight and squared. There's a dial on top that looks like a compass, though it doesn't light up, and we get LED indicators at the bottom once it's powered. On top of the Ottocast, there's a small button, as you can see, and pressing it lets us disconnect the current phone and switch to another one. That's actually pretty clever for something this small. We don't usually see proper multi-device switching on adapters this size, so we're curious how smooth it'll be long-term. The only catch is button access. It can feel a bit awkward depending on where your car's USB port sits. And in Carluex's body, we found a USB-C power port, a micro HDMI port for external displays, a TF card slot, and a SIM card slot. Underneath, there's a heatsink with passive cooling, which we really like. And up top, there's a reset switch. Inside, it's running Snapdragon 6125 with Android 13. So, in terms of design, we actually found the Carluex to be the better option since it feels more feature-packed. But we'll see how both perform. Once we got both devices powered up, the differences in performance were immediately noticeable. Starting with boot speed, the Ottocast Mini fires up in just a few seconds. The boot menu shows almost instantly. And Apple CarPlay loads in just a few more seconds, which we'd say is right around average compared to other wireless adapters we've tested. The Carluex, on the other hand, also boots quickly, and thanks to its Snapdragon processor, launching apps like YouTube or Netflix feels practically instant. So, in raw speed, we'd say both are quick. If we talk about the performance of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, the Ottocast Mini does a solid job. Touch responsiveness is snappy, scrolling between apps feels natural, and audio playback is clear, though there's a tiny bit of delay. Maps work well, but we did need to switch between modes for GPS to function perfectly. Android Auto works similarly, though switching between phones isn't seamless. The button reboots the adapter, and you need to disconnect the first phone manually, which takes 15 to 30 seconds. The Carluex doesn't run CarPlay natively, but shines with full Android functionality. Navigation on Google Maps is smooth, video playback is crisp, and multitasking is easy with split-screen mode. For media playback, the Ottocast is limited to what CarPlay or Android Auto allows, so streaming is mostly tied to your phone. It's smooth, but just what you'd expect from CarPlay or Android Auto. The apps are pretty basic, and there's not much extra beyond native functionality. The Carluex, however, handles YouTube in 1080p at 60 frames per second, Netflix without buffering, and even outputs video through HDMI to external screens. 4K at 30 frames per second works well, making it far more versatile for entertainment. Audio performance is solid on both. Ottocast has a minor wireless delay, hardly noticeable unless you focus on it, while we found that the Carluex's sound is quite clear, stereo-supported, and works well with media apps. Overall, the Ottocast Mini wins for quick, reliable CarPlay and Android Auto use, while the Carluex clearly takes the edge if you want a more powerful, full-featured multimedia experience with streaming, multitasking, and external display support. So, which one should you go for? The simple wireless CarPlay adapter or the feature-packed AI box? Well, here's what we found. We found the Ottocast Mini 2-in-1 to be really compact and reliable. We expected it to be just a basic adapter, and it delivered exactly that. CarPlay and Android Auto work smoothly, and it stayed cool even on longer drives. But we did wish the device switching button was smarter, and the settings menu offered a bit more control. And with the Carluex Pro Plus 2, we weren't sure at first. We expected it might feel a bit heavy or laggy because of all its extra features, but it actually surprised us. Apps open fast, streaming YouTube or Netflix is smooth, and split-screen multitasking works really well. The HDMI output and remote control are features we don't usually see on a CarPlay adapter, and they make it feel much more versatile. Since they're two different kinds of devices, so you should choose based on your own preferences. Alright, that's a wrap on today's comparison. So, which CarPlay adapter would you love to choose? Let us know in the comments below, as we love to hear from you, and share this video if you find it helpful. Until next time.